Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, depending on whichever part of the world you are tuning in from. I'm so excited to welcome you to another edition of the Forex Morning Mastery with Sheriff Daramola. The last 24 hours has been quite interesting, though we had a little bit of surprises during the course of yesterday, as we've been monitoring three major assets since the beginning of the week, including the USOILSPOT, the GBPUSD, and of course the XAUUSD. We did pretty well on the USOILSPOT, which actually saw price nosedive to the downside, and on the GBPUSD we saw some positive traction in favor of the pound sterling, which we did of course took advantage of. And though we still have some limiting factor affecting this particular asset, but we will be deliberating on that one today. Then on the XAUUSD, we had some sell positions yesterday, which of course didn't turn out to run in that particular direction. And of course, I did mention during our XAUUSD live session yesterday that we should move all stop losses, secure the current position, and depending on where you moved your stop losses, you must have taken a reasonable amount of profit on that asset, or at a worst case scenario, break even. So I encourage us all to stay tuned in, as we have beautiful and of course simple setups that we will be using to guide our trading decisions for today. So grab your favorite beverages, get yourself set, and let's dive right into the business. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, you highly welcome on board, and I'm very sure you will be wondering what this is all about. What is the Forex Morning Mastery all about? Well, first of all, I would like to state here that I usually share a handful of videos during the course of the weekend, which of course details my plans for the new week. And the Forex Morning Mastery was born out of the idea of doing follow-up details on these videos I share during the weekend. So during the Forex Morning Mastery, we come here to do follow-up details on basically the 1 hour time frame. So if you do want to have a background knowledge into what we are talking about during the Forex Morning Mastery, I do encourage you to watch my weekend videos. If in any way you've missed out on these videos, you can check the description box right below in the below this video. The links are there. You can check them out after the live session, so you can have an insight into what we are talking about, and at the same time you can use this video as a basic understanding of how to use price action. So as technical traders, we usually gather here every day to come together as a community in anticipation of both the London and the New York session, where we come to review our current and existing positions and engage in follow-ups, and of course see how we can strategically position ourselves for the next move. So this session usually kickstarts about 9:05 a.m. West African time, 8:05 a.m. UTC, and I recommend that you stay tuned in so you don't miss out on any of the valuable ideas we will be deliberating on today. And it's also very important that you know that my aim here is to equip you with the knowledge and skills necessary to make your own trading decisions. Now, the more time you spend with us in this community, the better you get to understand our analytical approach, and with time you get to be able to use the information you gather in this community to make your own trading decisions and of course your own strategies. So once again, I welcome you all on board and encourage you to engage in the comment section. So with that being said, here we will be diving right into the business. I can see quite a bunch of comments in the comment section. Hello for Foebi Oyagi, I hope I pronounced that name correctly. Good morning to you. Cyrus Limo, good morning to you. Glad to have you around with us. And Jonah Aruna, I can see you. Eric Mudavadi, you are blessed. Thank you very, very much. All right. So with that being said, we will be diving right into the business. And as usual, the first thing we normally do during the Forex Morning Mastery is to keep tabs with the fundamental factors that will be affecting the market sentiment today. And for those of you who have been with me for a while now, you know how important this is, as these fundamental factors often manifest on the chart in technical patterns and price movement. Now, by monitoring the economic calendar, we can easily identify potential correlations between key economic releases and specific technical patterns on the chart, hereby giving us valuable information to make us be able to position ourselves in such a way that we can capitalize on any potential move prior, during, and even after this economic event. Now, based on the asset we have been monitoring since the beginning of this week, we will be focusing on high impactful event from both the United States and the United Kingdom economic docket. Now, for today, Tuesday, January 9, and in fact for yesterday as well, we did not have any high impactful events. So what I did was to include the medium impact event so that we can at least have an insight into what are the catalysts that will be affecting the way the market participant will be behaving today. And of course, we know that as technical traders, the anticipation of this event usually influence market sentiment, which of course we will see reflect on the chart as price action. So for today, Tuesday, January 9th, we have the BRC like-for-like retail sales coming in from the United Kingdom, and this happened earlier today, and this gives us an insight into the performance of the retail sector in the United Kingdom. And we saw the data come in at 1.9% expansion, which is a little bit lower than the previous month, which came in at 2.6%, though we did not have any projection from economists, so we don't have something to gauge how the actual data came in respect to the forecast. So, but what we can get to understand from here is that there was an expansion, but it was a little bit lower than the previous month. So as a result of this, we're going to be seeing how the market participants in the GBPUSD had reacted to this particular data. So we're going to be looking at that in a moment. Then later on today, we will be looking forward to a speech from the United States economic docket, and that is from the Fed's official. Barr is his name, so he's going to be giving a speech later today. And of course, everyone definitely will be looking forward to hear what he has to say, as whatever he says today will be giving us an insight into the monetary policy outlook of the Federal Reserve, and of course give us an insight into the health situation of the United States economic docket. Yesterday we had a speech from Fed Bostic, who is also a member, is a former member of the Federal Reserve Committee, and he buttressed the fact that the inflationary pressure in the United States has actually reduced, which is a very good sign that there is likely going to be a rate cut by which everyone is projecting to be at the end of the month of March. So all of these parameters here is leading us into the idea that there is likely going to be a rate cut, and if there's going to be a rate cut, there is a high chance that the US dollar will drop, because majority will want to start selling this asset to make their profit before the interest rate drop. So let's see how we are going to be positioning ourselves for the next move today. So with that being said, and with the information we have gathered from the economic calendar, let's dive right into the business. So as usual, we are going to be starting today's analysis with our usual asset. I'm not sure why this is not coming up. So it usually takes a while for my USOILSPOT chart to load up. So let's wait for about 5 to 10 seconds before this loads up. I think it's taking a much more longer time than expected, so I will just have to open a new window on the US All Spot. I don't know why the US All Spot usually takes quite a long time for it to load up on the trading view. Are you also experiencing such on your own platform? Please let me know in the comment section. All right, or if there are any solutions to solve this. All right, so finally it has loaded up. So the first asset we will be taking on today is going to be the US All Spot. And in fact, we have quite an interesting situation going on in this particular market. And for those of you who are with me on both my TradingView and Telegram platform, you definitely must have gotten an update as to how we are going to be managing these positions today. Well, as it is right now, price, we saw what happened in the last 24 hours. We saw our price drop significantly well, breaking down the support line of that range we identified yesterday, moving over 230 pips in our favor before this consolidation phase happen. And I do hope that you moved your stop losses accordingly. I did mention yesterday and this morning too as well that we should ensure that we safeguard all the current sell positions on this particular asset, as we might likely be seeing a reversal setup unfold in this market. So we saw during the Asian session today our price action exhibited a sideways situation here, giving us a situation where price was confined within the $71.20 level and the $70.40 area to emphasize the level of indecision going on in this particular market. And as a result of this uncertainty, I did mention this morning that we should be moving all our stop losses to secure all current positions. And from what has happened in the last 24 hours, there has been quite a lot of factors influencing the market dynamics behind the scenes, which is very, very important for us to keep ourselves in the know of. Now, the first one, which is the most important one, is the geopolitical conflict between Israel and Gaza, which has played a significant role in shaping crude oil prices. And there is definitely concerns all over the place about potential disruption in supply of oil, which may fuel volatility in this market. Now, the looming possibility of the conflict evolving into a regional crisis adds an extra layer of uncertainty to this market. We saw how the U.S. Secretary Anthony Blinken visited Israel yesterday, and some of the speeches he said were a little bit they are very, very sensitive, which there are chances that Israel is going to be opening another war front with what's Abdullah D. I can't remember the name of this terrorist group in Lebanon. So things are not looking very, very interesting around that area, and this could incite some volatility in this market. So we need to take note of that one. Then the continued attack of the vessels in the Red Sea by the Houthis too is also affecting supply, as ship vessels have to take longer route to transport their commodities to their destination, which of course would increase the cost of production, cost of operation to as well. Now, despite these geopolitical tensions, the reported increase in output, now despite all these geopolitical tensions that could escalate the price of oil, the recent decline in oil prices can be attributed to the increased output by the OPEC Plus member, and we saw how production was increased by over 70,000 barrels per day in the month of December, which shows a sign that a majority of these members are not really lining up with the idea of oil cuts. And also yesterday we learned how the Fed and the Saudis also reduced their official price to over 27-month low. So all of these dynamics is really going to be affecting the market sentiment. So from a technical standpoint, how do we intend to position ourselves for the next move? Well, from a technical standpoint, if you look at the current structure here on the 1 hour time frame, by now you shouldn't be in any position, as price action would have taken out all the sell positions with a minimum of, let's say, 150 pips, depending on where you have moved your stop losses to. And during my commentary this morning, for those of you who are with me on both my TradingView and Telegram platform, I did emphasize the importance of this range where price action is currently trading within. And of course, you know how we do it in this community. Whenever we identify a range like this, we know that there is an uncertainty going on in the market. Hence, we need to exercise patience and wait for either the breakout of the resistance line to give us an opportunity to buy, or the breakdown of the support line to give us an opportunity to sell. Now, with the way things are going right now, I already have a buy stop order triggered above the $71.20 level, and at this point I think I have about how many pips running in profit? About 25 pips running in profit right now, and I do hope you took advantage of that opportunity. So let's see how the market will play out. I'm hopeful that price will continue to the upside. Then another thing that is crucial about this juncture is how the consolidation phase here shares a beautiful confluence with that ascending trend line we identified on the 4 hours time frame yesterday. And you know how we use our ascending trend lines in this community. As long as price remains above the ascending trend line, we want to look out for patterns and structures that supports the idea of buying that particular asset. So everything is looking as bullish as possible in this market. Now look at the low since the beginning of the year, which is around the $69.80 level. The next low here is this, around the $70.40, giving us signs that sellers are finding it difficult to push price below this limit. So let's see if this is going to continue to the upside. So we already have a buy position triggered. And for those of you who had missed out on this opportunity, well, let's see if the market will be kind enough, as there are chances, there is a possibility that price could still come back, retest the structure to incite another wave of bullish momentum. So let's see how this is going to play out today. Please ensure you have your stop losses in place. Very, very important. I'm having about 50 to 60 pips stop loss on this one, as my stop loss is way below the previous low. And let's see how far this momentum is going to go. And if in any way during the course of today's trading session price does the contrary and comes back to the downside, I will only consider selling if price action takes out all the buy positions around the $70.40 level. So let's mark out these levels on our chart and let's use it as a yardstick to guide our trading decisions for today. So basically, between the $71.20 level and the $70.40 area, where depending on the direction of the breakout will give us an insight into where price action will be going today. So these are my simple views on the US All Spot. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So as usual, I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds off to see if there are any questions whatsoever before we move on to the next asset on our watch list. And you can as well use that time to mark out these levels on your chart. I see your comment here, Adeni Babalola. Thanks you for the compliment. I really appreciate that. And I take all that energy, and I also transmit them back to you in a million. Thank you very much for the compliment, Adeni Babalola. So, in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that all I have said so far has been quite comprehensive enough. And as a result of this, we shall be moving on to the next asset on our watch list. And I do hope you've marked out these levels on your chart, as they will be serving as a major role in guiding our trading decisions for today. So the next asset on our watch list for today is the GBPUSD, that is the cable market. And at this juncture, all my buy positions has been closed. I did mention that this morning, that all the buy positions we have, we should ensure we safeguard them, move our stop losses accordingly, lock in that situation there, and let's see how the market will play out. But price is back into the 1.27300 level, taking out all the buy positions at this point. And well, it's okay, we'll still have the privilege of joining another uptrend continuation if the price if the market gives us that opportunity. Now, as it is right now, the pound sterling appears to be facing pressure due to a shift in market sentiment and a potential demand for the US dollar. As we can see, in the last 12 to 18 hours, we've been seeing an uptick in the US Treasury bond yield, and we do know how the US Treasury bond yield is directly proportional to the US dollar. If the US Treasury bond yield rises, definitely the dollar is going to rise, and if it drops, the dollar definitely will drop. So we're beginning to see some uptick in recent time, and this may likely be limiting the uptrend situation on the GBPUSD. Now, this is driven by evolving risk sentiment and, of course, expectations surrounding the Federal Reserve's actions as regards to whether they're going to be there's going to be a rate cut or a rate hike, or even when will the rate cut happen. Though there is, according to the CME Fed Watch tool, I encourage you to also look at the CME Fed Watch tool. It's a very, very good material you want to include in your arsenals, as they usually churn out very insightful and reliable business and financial articles. So you can also check them for your own growth though as well. So they did say that there is investors are currently factoring in about 62% likelihood of rate cuts at the upcoming March meeting, which is about 2 months from now. And as a result of this, we might likely be seeing potential decline in the US dollar. And like I said earlier, that the Fed Atlanta president, that is Raphael Bostic, did mention during his speech yesterday, and of course emphasized that inflation in the United States has decreased more than initially anticipated, which for me is a good news for sellers of the US dollar, as they will definitely be looking out for setups that will bring up ideas of selling. So as a result of this, I still want to be leaning towards a bullish momentum in the favor of the pound sterling. But when is that momentum going to start is what we are trying to figure out. Now, on the other side of the pool, that is from the United Kingdom, we saw yesterday where the former Bank of England Monetary Policy Committee member, Deanne Julius is her name, expressed a view as regards to the central bank's possible decision, as it is not likely that they will be positioning themselves for any rate cut in 2024 based on the inflationary pressure in the United Kingdom. And also, she also buttresses how the escalating tension in the Middle East could also lead to a new round of energy prices, which could potentially result in a fresh inflationary shock in the United Kingdom. So looking at this, the opinion that United Kingdom, even despite the leading business runners in the United Kingdom were clamoring for the Bank of England to cut their interest rate, as it is really affecting the businesses in that economy. Well, the policymakers of the Bank of England are really in a dilemma right now, so we don't know how they are going to be managing the situation. So as a result of these uncertainties in this market, we need to be very, very careful before making any aggressive bet on the GBPUSD. But as technical traders, we of course going to be looking at setups on the chart that we will be using to guide our decisions. So at the beginning of the week, we did identify a range on this chart, as you will see here, where we saw our price action was initially confined within the 1.273 and the 1.2700 area to emphasize the level of indecision going on in this particular market. And of course, when we have this kind of setup on our chart, you know how we do it. We wait for price to either break down or break out of that range to give us an opportunity to trade. We saw a breakdown of the support line yesterday, which of course I did take advantage of, but was taken out of that position after seeing a sharp rejection of that area, giving us signs that sellers are unable to settle below this particular structure. So as a result of this, we had a buy stop order above both the key level and the 1.273, giving us two buy positions, as we saw price move over 40 pips on the first one and over 35 pips on the second one. Moved my stop loss to somewhere around the 1.273, and as at this morning, about 20 minutes ago, I just saw how price has taken us out of that buy position. So at this juncture, what is going to be our plans? Are sellers going to push price to the downside, or are there chances that buyers are going to be pushing price to the upside? Well, first of all, I have a buy stop order above the 1.27650, because for me, if price action can take out all the sell positions here, this may likely be a new platform for new highs. So I have a buy stop order above that area. Now let's look at what is happening around this area. Can we actually buy before the breakout of that structure happens? Now, if we look at the structure closely and considering what has been happening here since last week Friday, you will see that we had an impulsive move all the way into this area before this downtrend scenario happened within that range we had yesterday, hereby resulting in this beautiful descending trend line that was broken during the New York session yesterday. And from a technical standpoint, when price action breaks out of a trend line or a key structure like this, we expect at some point in time we may see price do some retracement back into structure in anticipation of another wave of bullish momentum. And as it is right now, since the later part of the New York session yesterday, we're beginning to notice some selling pressure as that area around the 1.27650 level has become a barrier for buyers in this market. So there are chances that price could drop down a little bit to get enough momentum to be able to break out of that structure. Now, the question here is, how far will this retracement phase go before the anticipation of another wave of bullish momentum? So what my guess is, maybe price could get to as far as this trend line before another wave of bullish momentum will happen. So what I will do at this juncture is to exercise patience and see how far this bearish momentum will go. And immediately we begin to notice anything like a reversal pattern, maybe a double bottom structure, head and shoulder pattern, falling wedge, whichever case it may be, mark out our neckline, then capitalize on the breakout of the neckline to join that uptrend continuation. Then we can actually join before the breakout of the 1.27650, and by the time price breaks out of the 1.27650, we definitely will be having a minimum of 2 positions running in profit. So at this point, I will encourage us to exercise patience here. Like I said earlier, I have a buy stop order above the 1.27650. Let's wait to see how price will react with the 1.273 and the 1.272. Maybe it will get into the trend line before another wave of bullish momentum will happen. But trust me, I will be with you in the comment section of both my Trading View and Telegram platforms to give you updates as at when due. Now, in as much as we're looking out for buying opportunities in this market, we cannot ignore the potentials that sellers could still come into this market. And remember that we have an ascending trend line here. Please let me remind a quick reminder for those of you who had not watched my video on my weekend video on the GBPUSD. Please do, so you can have an understanding, a deep understanding into this current market structure. If price drops below the 1.2700 area today, for me to sell, I will need a confirmation to happen. And what do I mean by a confirmation? When price drops below the 1.2700 area, I want to see something like continued selling pressure below the structure before I can join a bearish move. But I will let you know what we will be looking at if price action ever gets into that area. So this is my simple view on the GBPUSD for today. If you have any questions or you need some clarification at some point in time, feel free to let me know in the comment section. Stephen Undo, I got your mail yesterday, your private mail as regards to my analysis. Sorry about that, I did not see your comment yesterday, but if you are live here and if you still have your questions, please let me know in the comment section. So with that being said, I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds as usual to see if there are any questions whatsoever before we move on to the last asset on our watch list for today. All right. So in the absence of no questions, I will just take this as a confirmation that all I've said is quite comprehensive enough, and we are all on the same page. And in that regard, we shall be moving on to the final asset on our watch list. So the final asset on my watch list for today is my favorite, and that is the XAUUSD, popularly known as the gold spot. And on the gold spot, we had quite an interesting situation here. Remember, yesterday we had the privilege of joining a bearish opportunity, and in fact we took advantage of this move during our XAUUSD live window yesterday. For those of you who were part of that session, we actually joined a bearish move as soon as price action broke down the support line at a $2,027 level, moving about how many pips was that? About 105 pips before the buy pressure began in this market. And I do hope that you moved your stop losses accordingly. If you had done so, you must have been taken out with a reasonable amount of profit, or at a worst case scenario break even, depending on whichever area you had moved your stop losses to. And for those of you who capitalized on this move yesterday, well done, and kudos to you for being on standby to capitalize on this opportunity. Now, as it is right now, what is going to be our plans? What is really going on in this market? In fact, I want to consider this old bearish momentum to be a pullback from the bullish momentum that we were enjoying throughout the course of the last quarter of last year, as we saw the gold prices skyrocket to find an all-time high at the 2,100 and was it 160 or 170 area, but it was an all-time high. And this old bearish momentum we've seen so far since the beginning of this year, for me, I want to consider that to be some profit-taking activities due to the uncertainty that has gripped this market as a result of the expectations from the Fed Reserve. Now, the US dollar, on the other hand, has been maintaining its pullback. That is the DXY, the US dollar index, driven by an improved market sentiment and, of course, a modest uptick in US Treasury bond yield. Now, and this, of course, was we out of the U.S. consumer inflation expectations last week, which was beyond expectations, and that this would further emphasize the idea that there is likely going to be a rate cut by as early as March, and this has been acting as a supportive headwind for safe haven assets such as the gold. Now, as it is right now, based on what has happened during the Asian session, as you will see during the Asian session, though we saw some deep buying during the Asian session, but price was more or less within a consolidation phase around this area. And I'm of the opinion that this reflection on the chart is as a result of market participants appearing to be a little bit cautious and may opt to await the latest US consumer inflation figures for insight into potential future Fed policy moves before determining a near-term trajectory on this particular asset. And this cautious stance is, of course, reasonable, particularly as we position for potential recovery from this low at the $2017 area. Now, in preparation for today's trading session, I did give us an update on my TradingView and Telegram platform as to how we are going to be managing this position. And one thing for sure is that in the last let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hours, we saw how price action has been trading around our key level at the $2035 area. Remember, we did identify this key level during the course of the weekend. For you that have not watched my weekend video on the XAUUSD, please do, so that you can see how important this key level is and how it has played a major role in determining the direction of price action in the last 5 to 6 months. So as a result of this, this key level here is going to be guiding our trading decisions for this week. And you know how we use our key levels in this community. As long as price remains above the key level, we look out for patterns and structures that supports the idea of buying that asset. But if price drops below the key level and continue to find selling pressure below the key level, we definitely want to be looking out for patterns and structures that supports the idea of selling. Now, let's look at what is going on in this market. First of all, remember that we have an ascending trend line on the higher time frame. Please check my video on the XAUUSD. The links are right in the description box below, where we had this trend line marked out, which interestingly shares a beautiful confluence with that key level at the $2035 area. Now, price action in the last 9 hours has been trading around the trend line and, of course, around the key level. And I did tell us in my commentary this morning that I will be having a buy stop order above the $2035 level, which of course has been triggered at this point in time, with a stop loss sitting somewhere close to the $2027 area, dovetailing to about 80 to 85 pips depending on where your entry point is. So I will maintain a bullish bias above the $2035 area, as you will see that despite the strong bearish momentum that started last week Friday, continuing into the early part of this week, you will see how it has become evident that sellers are struggling around this area. Now, why did I say so? Look at price moved into the key level, came back down. Price was unable to break down of the previous low before price came back into the key level again, giving us something that looks like a reversal pattern, where the key level at the $2035 area will be serving as the neckline of that reversal pattern. And one interesting thing about the neckline is the fact that it also shares a confluence with that ascending trend line. And when price remains above our ascending trend line, we want to be looking out for patterns and structures that supports the idea of buying that asset. So for me, I'm holding on to a bullish bias on this particular trade and looking out for more opportunities to maximize the potential of that bullish move if price action ever breaks out of the highest point for this week at the $2,046.50 level. And of course, this level here we identified on the higher time frame had the $2,050 area. So this is how I maintain and manage a bullish bias on this particular asset today. However, in as much as we look out for buying opportunities, you know how we do it in this community. We want to ensure that we keep a balanced perspective to any market we are actually trading. We can say we can prepare ourselves for buying opportunity and the market can do otherwise and go south. So we do want to be on standby to capitalize on any momentum the market presents to us. So in that regard, as we look out for buying opportunities, we cannot ignore the potentials that sellers can also still come into this market. And if they do come in, where is it or what conditions and parameters do we want to see on the chart that will make us feel comfortable changing our bias from bullish to bearish? Well, if you would ask me, I want to be looking at the lowest point price action has been for this week for an opportunity to sell. That is the $2,017 area must be broken to the downside for me to join a bearish move to the downside. So taking out all the buy positions here will give us a little bit of confidence to join that bearish move. And if we have retest of structure along the line, then we gain more confidence to stay and add more positions to our existing trade. Now, I also was considering what could happen that will make me sell even before the $2,017 area happens. Well, for me, if I begin to see significant selling pressure like lower lows and lower highs on my lower time frame, this could give me a sign that sellers may be gradually gaining momentum behind the scenes. Then I will position myself for the next move. But at this point in time, I really don't see anything to look out for. But I can see this trend line here, if you would ask me, something like this, which I'm still not confident to hold on to at this point in time, where the breakdown of this trend line could incite some selling opportunities. But if we see something like a breakdown and retest of this trend line where continued selling pressure persists below the 2035 area, then I would like to consider selling, closing manually my buy position. But I will definitely let you know in the comment section. And if you are not going to be missing the XAUUSD live window coming up later today, 5 minutes into the New York session, then you will see in real time how we will be managing this position. So these are my views on the XAUUSD for today. I do hope I made myself very clear. But if I didn't in any way and you think you want some clarifications, feel free to let me know in the comment section. And that reminds me, if you have found this content helpful, if you have found this session and content helpful so far, and it helps you in making your independent trading decisions on all the assets we talked about today, I would really appreciate your support by giving the video a thumbs up. Your likes are valuable to me, and in fact it also helps the algorithm to promote the video to a wider audience of traders who may find this content beneficial to them, hereby dovetailing to the growth of this community. Thank you very much, guys, as you do so. And for those of you who had liked already, I really appreciate your support. So let's see how this is going to play out. Then that reminds me also, I already dropped the link to the XAUUSD live window right in the comment section of this video you are watching. I was unable to pin it to the top, but you will see my name written, XAUUSD live window. Click on that link, click on the notify me button so you can get notified as soon as I will come online for the XAUUSD real-time monitoring. And for those of you who don't know what the XAUUSD live window is all about, well, this is a platform that was born out of popular demand from community members. Why do I keep saying commodity for community? All right, so out of popular demand from the members of this community, where we all come together during the New York session to monitor real-time XAUUSD price action. So you do want to be part of that session to see how we manage our positions in real time. So with that being said here, let's see if there are any questions as regards to what we've talked about today, and we prepare to round off for today's Forex Morning Mastery with Sheriff Daramola. All right. So in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page. And in that regard, I will be rounding up for today's Forex Morning Mastery. It has been a wonderful moment. I really appreciate every single moment. I enjoyed every single moment with you guys this morning. And for those who commented in the comment section, thank you very much for your engagement. I really appreciate that. From Fuebi, Cyrus, Jonah Aruna, Eric Mudavadi to Adeni Babalola, you guys are just too wonderful, and thank you very much for your support. So today we were able to look at the USOILSPOT, the GBPUSD, and of course the XAUUSD, where we were able to identify simple trading setup using our fundamental tools such as trend lines, key levels, and chart patterns only to identify potential trading opportunities for today. So I do hope we all marked out these levels on our chart, as we're definitely going to be needing them to guide our independent trading decisions for today. And if you have done that, please remember to exercise patience and allow the structures to mature before you jump into any position. And always remember that every decision we make in the financial market is an educated guess until price action hits your TP target. So as a result of this, you want to ensure you have a well-defined risk management strategy that you will consistently adopt on all the trades you take from your portfolio. And so with that being said here, I wish us all the best of luck today. And for those who joined us for the first time, I do hope you were able to gain one or two things from this session. And if you did, you want to be part of the subsequent editions, as the more time you spend with us in this community, the better you get to understand our analytical approach and eventually be able to use the information you gather here to make your own independent trading decisions. So I look forward to seeing more of you same time tomorrow, 9:05 a.m. West African time, 8:05 a.m. UTC, as we come here again to review how well these assets have been doing, and at the same time prepare ourselves for tomorrow's trading session. So on this note, I wish us all the best of luck. Trade smart, trade consciously, and do have a wonderful evening, everyone. Bye bye.